fire and hold.
In the heart of the race, where engines roar and champions are made,
Blaney is a NASCAR Cup Series champion.
lies a legacy spanning decades. We've witnessed a revolution, a transformation from raw power to sophisticated speed.
Yeah! So proud of you guys! Yeah!
It's a high-octane journey, a testament to human skill and engineering marvels.
What a car, man.
As we gear up for this thrilling ride,
Barrel rolling through the grass.
feel the adrenaline, the passion. Join us on this epic journey. Witness the power, the glory, the unstoppable spirit of NASCAR.
NASCAR officially kicks off the 2024 season with the 66th running of the Daytona 500.
And there's a ton of racing to check out down in sunny Florida as Speed Weeks is in full effect.
And how about some cold, hard cash? That's right, Erica is back in studio. She's going to give you the best bets for the Daytona 500.
I'm Ryan Flores, she's Kim Coon, and it's Daytona week. We're here to take you around the track before the Great American Race.
And there is so much to prepare for, a lot of on-track action. So let's get a look at the schedule. Things kick off. The Cup cars take to the track first with qualifying, followed by you'll see some Truck Series action, ARCA, Xfinity, and of course everything culminates on Sunday with the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. Fox, Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. But there's still a lot of short track action happening too. We talked about it last week though. The World Series of Asphalt and Volusia Speedway Park, they've stayed busy.
Yeah, Volusia Speedway Park wrapped up its first week of racing with the high side tickler, Kyle Strickler, taking home the UMP portion there. They have this big golden gator that you win, so he got that. And in the World Outlaw Sprint Cars, it was David Gravel. I personally have been glued to my Flow Racing app though, watching the World Series of Asphalt. The first night, or the second night, Saturday night, was the Whelen Modified Tour opener. Ronnie Silk took that home. And then Monday night, he went back-to-back on modified races, and he beat a hard-charging Ryan Preece.
Nice. Well, you can continue to check all that action out. You mentioned Ryan Preece. He's going to be part of the field for the Daytona 500 on Sunday, and there is going to be no shortage of drama.
In the beginning was Daytona.
Here we go.
The birthplace of speed, the launch pad of legends, the Great American Race.
Oh, they're in the wall!
It's always been,
Keep digging, stay in the gap!
and will always be, the proving ground for greatness.
Let's go, boys! Oh!
Every driver looking to be remembered, every fan looking for something they'll never forget.
There aren't many drivers that can say they've won a Daytona 500. In fact, there's only 7 of the 42 entries that have actually won it.
Oof.
So everybody thinks they have a chance, though. What's it going to take for a new driver to put their name on the Harley J. Earl Trophy?
Well, the question is, will it be a new driver or a repeat driver? Because being a multi-time winner in the Daytona 500, that's a big, addition to your resume. You look at a guy like Denny Hamlin, he's won 3. On the opposite end, Kyle Busch, he's been trying for 20 years, haven't gotten one. So what's the key? I don't know if there is one thing, and it all amounts to teamwork. Everything has to fall in place, and a little piece of that is luck, too.
Yeah, and teamwork not only within your team, but your teammates on the racetrack as well, because you can do everything right, getting the pit road, calling the race, building the right race car, but if your teammate misses pit road and it hangs you out, there's a lot of luck and a lot of work that goes into this race.
And as we look at the broader scope of a team, a NASCAR team, the spotter is crucial. Having the relationship with your spotter, the trust in your spotter, knowing that you're inches away from cars going 190 miles per hour, for 500 miles, that's a big deal. So a good spotter. And then the team back at the shop. How many times we go to Daytona 500 qualifying and the driver's answer when they win the pole is, well, I really have to thank the guys back at the shop.
Yeah, with this next-gen car, the small details are what what adds up and gets you tenths and seconds. But I think about the gas man. Being a pit crew guy, new rule this year, only 1 pickup in the fuel cell, so you're really going to have to get your car full.
Oof, lots of things to keep in mind if you want to win the Daytona 500, and there really is nothing sweeter than Daytona 500 Victory Lane.
Austin Cindric has scored the Daytona 500 win. Michael McDowell has won the Daytona 500.
Ricky Stenhouse has won the Daytona 500.
Last year it was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. hoisting the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Can he go back-to-back? I don't know. The Kansas City Chiefs, they were back-to-back Super Bowl champions. This is NASCAR's Super Bowl, so maybe it's RSJ's year to go back-to-back in NASCAR's biggest race. So with that, let's look at the odds. It's time for Easy Money with E. I've got Erica Davis in studio with us this week, and she's going to give us the lowdown. She is our sports betting analyst. She's got all the details you want to know before you put your money on any driver.
The first thing everyone needs to know is that Stenhouse Jr. is no Patrick Mahomes, so no back-to-back. No back-to-back. But let's just dive into some of the favorites. Now, these are some outright winner odds. I don't love outright winners, but it's Daytona. Anybody could take the crown. Denny Hamlin, plus 900. A $10 bet on him wins you a total of $100 if he gets into victory lane. Super competitive, won the Clash. He's always a good spot to bet. My second of the favorites that I love is Brad Keselowski at plus 1,200. You know, he's on, a 98 winless streak. I think it might be time for him to break out. And then you got Busch and Blaney in there as well as at the top of the odds board for the favorites for outright winners.
I see how Denny Hamlin's a favorite. He's won this race 3 times, but Kyle Busch is a favorite. He's gone 20 years without a win in the Daytona 500, so hard to believe he would be a favorite. The big thing is, though, at the top of the segment, you said Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was not going to go back-to-back. He's not a favorite, so where does he fall in terms of bets?
He actually falls in the middle of the pack. Now, Kim, the middle of the pack, like these guys, these drivers' odds, I like a lot because I think they give you the most bang for your buck. So risk, reward, I think is a really good spot for the middle of the pack odds for these drivers. So you have Stenhouse Jr. at plus 2,800. You've got Austin Cindric at plus 2,800, Austin Dillon at plus 3,000, and Michael McDowell at plus 3,500. Bettors out there need to understand, though, that these guys aren't quite long shots, but they're definitely not in the favorites territory. And remember, the longer the odds, the better the payout. Michael McDowell is who I like when it comes to this group of guys. Oh, by the way, these are all like former Daytona 500 winners. Yeah. So that's important, too. But Michael McDowell, I like him at plus 3,500. You can actually shop around and find him at plus 4,000. So shop around, guys. You can find some better prices and have some longer odds and have a better shot at a better payout.
You said these guys weren't long shots, too. Who falls into the category of long shots? And long shots in a race where anybody can win, how is that even possible?
So everyone's going to be like, why is she talking about Jimmy Johnson? But he's a long shot that I like. Yeah. At plus 7,000, he's a Hall of Famer. He's won it twice, albeit eons ago. Why not? Now, here's something very important to note. He at plus 7,000 would win you a total of $710, but he might not qualify. So make sure wherever you bet on Jimmy Johnson, if he doesn't qualify, you can get your money back because some books won't give you your money back. And there's another long shot that I like, Corey LaJoie at plus 5,000. Earnhardt Jr. predicted that this is the year that he will win a race and get into playoffs. I'm not trying to fight with Earnhardt Jr., so if he said it, I'm right there with him.
Well, Corey is a good super speedway racer. It's a hard race to pick a winner. We talk about being an even playing field. Anybody can win. And fans might not want to pick an outright winner. What kind of bets can they look at if they don't know who's going to get to victory lane?
You can go top 10, top 5, or top 3. I'm going to do some top 3 odds whose drivers I like in the top 3 spots. First, Busch, plus 300, not super sexy, so very safe bet, but why not throw $10 at plus 300 for Busch to make the top 3? My favorite is Allmendinger at plus 1,800. That to me is a good bet because he's run very, very well at Daytona recently, and the payout would be a total of $190 if you bet 10 on him. And then finally, I think you might like this one, maybe, David Reagan.
Oh, he's a great super speedway racer.
Right,
yeah.
So at plus 2,000, like why not? Why not throw $10 on him? Just a little sprinkle, just your little Starbucks money, your little pizza money, and guys, don't bet the farm, never bet more than you can afford to lose, and just have fun. We're going to all be watching the race anyway, so why not have some skin in the game, popcorn, your soda, and watch these drivers hopefully cash out some really nice payouts for us.
And that is the key. Have some fun. And there's a way you can have some fun if you're not ready to put down any money. We'll have that for you next. And we'll see you next week, Erica, for your Atlanta picks.
Atlanta is my home track, so let's go.
Take your pick.
My gut feeling tells me
I've already put him in the garage.
If they can execute, they can pull off win. That's who I'm going to pick.
Now it's time for NASCAR Fantasy Live. This is one of the hardest races to pick a winner. So instead, we're going to give you our black flag picks and our garage picks. So let's start with the black flag. Who is your absolutely stay away from guy?
There's not many times I'll say this, but this is the week that you need to stay away from him. It's Kyle Larson, right? I wouldn't be surprised if he won, but I'm going to use him. I'm going to max him out throughout the year, so I don't want to use him up here. His stats on super speedways are not great, so I'm going to save him.
I think that's actually a fair choice. Like you mentioned his stats, while he runs well at super speedways, he does not have the finishes. Another guy that does not have the finishes at super speedways is Martin Truex Jr. 79 times he's raced at a super speedway, still winless. And then listen to this stat. The last top 10 finish he had in Daytona, in the Daytona 500, was in 2016.
Yeah, that's definitely worthy of a black flag this week. And you're going to use him all the time too, so
exactly.
Going to want to save him.
What about our garage picks? Who's a guy you want just waiting in case it's probably going to be inevitable? You got to switch somebody out because we'll see some wrecks in Daytona.
Yeah, so for my garage pick, even though it's Daytona, I don't want to put one of my heavy hitters in there as well. So I'm going to use Michael McDowell. I'm expecting big things out of him and Travis Peterson this year. I think they can win some road courses and run up front all year. They have a new alliance with Ford and Penske. So I don't want to use him for the Great American Race, but I know he's going to give me a good finish if I need him.
For me, it's William Byron. I think I said this another week. He's a guy I'm going to want more frequently later in the season. But as a garage pick, kind of waiting there, I think he's the choice for the Daytona 500, and that's because he's finished top 10 in the last 4 drafting tracks. So I think a safe bet to just kind of have, if you need him, is William Byron.
Yeah, William Byron's always a good one to go back to. And what you need to go to is NASCAR.com/fantasy to sign up for a team, sign up for a league, and create your team before we head to Daytona.
It's decision time, NASCAR fans. Who gets you the points? Who gets you the wins? Who gets you the bragging rights? Who gets you the championship? Sign up and play today at NASCAR.com/fantasy.
Daytona is a bit of a wild card race, and if nothing else, it is a wild race, and part of that craziness is the big one. Feels like we kind of always wait around for it to happen and to kind of see who makes it through. I can't imagine being on a pit crew. I'd be like watching like this.
Just keep your helmet on.
Keep your helmet on,
keep the hammers out, because if once you put them away, that's when it's going to happen to you.
So when do you think the big one's going to happen?
I always look at stage breaks, obviously, and then when everybody's getting ready to pit, when everybody's kind of shuffling, trying to get to that bottom lane, and they make that dive off of turn 4 on the pit road, that little short chute always becomes a problem area.
And then at the end, too.
At the end, but it only takes one guy to be a little rambunctious to cause it any time throughout the race.
Well, if you're a driver, where in the pack is the safest, or is there a safe spot?
I've always said the lead's the safest place to be, but the last race at Daytona, Ryan Blaney, the 12 car, we were leading coming to a stage break and got turned, and it was one of the hardest wrecks of the year. So I don't know if there's anywhere safe.
I agree. There's nowhere safe. We've seen wrecks at the front of the pack. We've seen wrecks in the middle. We've actually seen wrecks towards the back of the pack. I think that you are absolutely safe nowhere, and at least 30% of the field has DNF'd in each of the last 7 Daytona 500s.
That is a tough stat.
That's
That is a tough stat. Speaking of teammates working together and team manufacturers working together, Ford and Toyota have a new car. We saw the Toyota win their first race out at the Coliseum. I'm excited to see how they work. Which one do you think is going to take?
I think it's going to be a learning experience for everyone, including the Chevys. Even though their body style is the same, they're still going to find themselves in the pack with the Toyotas and the Fords, and the noses and the bumpers are different. So it's going to be a lot of kind of trial and error, which could mean maybe a little bit more activity in practice, and if not practice, definitely the dual races. I think they're going to get maybe a little more squirrely than usual because people have to figure out what these cars are going to do.
Yeah, the one thing I heard Dale Jr. say when I was listening to his podcast this week is that the Toyotas are going to be better to push the way they've done their noses. But the thing that I'm looking at ahead of this race as a picker guy is fuel mileage. I talked about it earlier. They do not have a reserve switch anymore. So if one of these cars is more drag built into it, that's going to hurt their fuel mileage and will hurt them down the stretch.
You mentioned Toyota. The big thing for me, I'm also going to keep an eye on how they're able to draft because they've got a bigger pack now. You think about Legacy switching manufacturers to Toyota, and then they've got Jimmy Johnson in the field for them too. So that's 3 additional Toyotas that they can now have a bigger pack, a bigger group to work with, and it takes away the Chevy numbers.
Yeah, it definitely takes 3 Chevys away and adds 3 Toyotas. So that's going to be big. Another thing that I think about when I hear the word legacy is the Andretti family. And the Andretti family it's a name that's synonymous with winning in motorsports. And Marco Andretti made a couple truck starts last year, but he'll be making his ARCA debut in Daytona.
Marco Andretti continues turning some good laps.
Saw Marco there in some Truck Series races. We'll see him make some starts in the Truck Series again this year. But the big thing is he's got a stacked schedule when it comes to the ARCA Menard Series. 14 races on his calendar. So he's diving right in. What are his goals for this season?
With a name like Andretti, there's only one goal, and that's to win. And I know that he's going to try to learn, and there's going to be that talk. But with his extensive IndyCar background and his SRX racing and full fendered stuff. He's got to win some races.
He's got to win. He also has to learn, and that's what I took away from all of his media availability, is that he's here to learn, and he didn't want to just be placed in a top ride in a top series in NASCAR because of the merit he has with the moderate success in IndyCar, and then you mentioned SRX. When he moved to full body cars, series champ in 2022. Yeah. So he's got some success in other series. That doesn't guarantee him a win in this series, and the big thing is going to be learning, and we'll see what he can do on Saturday for the ARCA Menard Series race.
Silly season is officially over, and we'll be seeing some new faces in new places. So let's get caught up on some of the notable drivers that will be in new rides this year. Starting with the Truck Series, Ty Dillon will be taking over the reins of the Rackley War number 25, while Grant Enfinger moves from GMS Racing to CR7 Motorsports, and the 2022 Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series National Champion, Lane Riggs, gets his big break to pilot the number 38 truck for Front Row Motorsports.
I'm excited for Lane. He impressed a lot of people last year with some of his on-track performances, but the big thing for me is Grant. CR7 is a little unproven in the Truck Series, in my opinion, but they have an alliance with McAnally. I think that gives them strength. But then really, it's the reuniting of Jeff Stankiewicz, who's going to be crew chief for Grant, with Grant. They won 6 races and a championship in 2015 in the ARCA Menard Series, and they won a truck race together. So I think that could be a really strong, I don't want to call it a sleeper, but what do you expect out of CR7?
Listen, if I'm CR7 and I'm looking for a driver that kind of lead my team, Grant Enfinger's the guy. He's a mature racer. He's won a championship. He's been there. He's done that. And he's the one that can take you from a startup to a winning organization.
And we saw some Truck Series drivers make the move to the Xfinity Series. So let's look at some of the new faces in new places for Xfinity. We've got Jesse Love in that RCR2 car. It takes the place of what used to be Sheldon Creed's ride. That should be interesting how he gets along with Austin Hill. We also have Haley Deegan. Like I mentioned, she's one of those Truck Series drivers making the move up full-time Xfinity Series racing. Exciting for AM Racing. And then Sheldon Creed over at JGR. And that's just a couple of the myriad of changes we're seeing in the Xfinity.
Yeah, lots of drama from the Sheldon Creed, Jesse Love, kind of ride swap there. But the thing I'm excited about in that graphic is Haley Deegan. AM Racing, my buddy Wade Moore is running that place. They've got a new alliance with Ford. They bring Haley in, and they're looking to be successful right off the bat.
So lots of different changes and maybe some rebirth for some drivers. You look at Eric Almirola, he's making the move back to JGR where he got his career start. He's had more energy and more excitement than I've seen from him in a long time. I'm calling it early. It's going to be a multi-win season for Eric Almirola in Xfinity Series. And then AJ Allmendinger steps back down. When he was last there full-time, he had won multiple races, so he's going to be a threat.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's going to block Eric Almirola from a multi-year season might be AJ Allmendinger. But the guy that I'm really excited to see is SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen. So he's going to be running some select Cup races too, so he'll be a new face and a new place there. Let's take a look at the Cup Series. So we've got 3 rookies and a couple veterans switching rides. Some guys coming from Xfinity, going back to Cup. Some guys jumping from trucks to Cup. So we start with Josh Berry taking over the 4 car for Stuart Haas Racing. Alongside of him at SHR will be Noah Gregson in the 10 car. Daniel Hemrick, he stays at Colleague, but he goes from their Xfinity car to their Cup car, and John Hunter Nemechek departs his Xfinity ride at JGR to go chase the Bill France Cup with Legacy Motor Club. Who are you looking for to have a great year out of these guys?
Well, interesting to me is Justin Haley's move from Colleague to Rick Ware. I think that was a head scratcher for a lot of people, but obviously Rick Ware is invested in developing their program, and they think Justin Haley is the guy to help them get that kind of foot in the door. He's great at super speedways. What can he do at other tracks is my big question. And then the other big line item I had is the drivers you mentioned that are taking a step back up to Cup that have been there before. So Daniel Hemrick and John Hunter Nemechek have raced full-time in Cup before. What's different this time?
Yeah, they know they've been there, and then they kind of had to eat some humble pie and bet on themselves and go down to Xfinity, and now they're back. And they don't think for a minute, they haven't been thinking about getting back to this point, all those Xfinity races and championships they've won. Hemrick moved us out of the way on the last lap at Phoenix. Broke my heart, but I was happy for Daniel. So I think the pressure's on those guys because they might be thinking this is their last chance.
And John Hunter's been very vocal about the lessons he's learned when he went all the way back down to the Truck Series and then again worked his way up into the Xfinity Series, found success in both of those series. Does that equate to success in the Cup Series? We're going to have to find out together. And all of the drivers we just talked about, you're going to see all week long down at Daytona. On top of all the racing action, Daytona is going to be packed with tons of entertainment, whether you're there in person or at home.
This is an event that drivers have been dreaming about.
It's the Daytona 500. You feel the excitement, the energy.
I think my chest just caved in. Daytona 500, take a second, take it all in. People dream about moments like this. Start of another great year. No place I'd rather be than right here, right now.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Daytona is another race where stars seem to flock to, so we've got quite the lineup for the Daytona 500 on Sunday.
Yeah, starting with Pitbull. He's going to get fans excited with a pre-race concert.
Yeah, and then literally and figuratively, The Rock is going to get things fired up. He's going to give the command to start engines.
And then the recently crowned Miss America, Madison March, will lead the field to green as the honorary pace car driver. And DJ Khaled with the green, another one.
So with all these celebrities going to be there, who are you most excited to see?
I think Madison Marsh. Not only is she Miss America, she's a U.S. Air Force officer and a Harvard student.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act.
I think that I'm most excited to see,
I don't know what.
obviously, The Rock. It's the Attitude Era. I was a WWE kid growing up. I saw him wrestle at Madison Square Garden when I was younger, so I'm pumped up to see that. And you guys can see everything that's happening this weekend, all the updates at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com. Follow along to make sure you're up to date on everything that's going on at the track.
Each and every week, you know it's coming, the white flag. This week I've got a little trivia for Ryan. Are you ready?
I think so. You guys have been talking about it enough. I'm a little nervous.
Okay, well, we talked about Justin Haley making the move to Rick Ware Racing. He also made the move into a marriage. He got married over the offseason. Do you know his wife's name?
I do not.
You want to give it a guess?
Does it start with a J?
I'm not giving you any clues.
I feel like I knew there was something.
His name starts with a J.
Is it Justine?
No.
Dang, it'd be
You're
fun.
kind of on the right track, though.
Okay, what is it?
It's Haley.
Oh, Haley. I did know that. Dang it.
So her name is?
Haley.
Haley. Maybe Haley will be celebrating in victory lane with Justin Haley if he happens to win the Daytona 500. I don't know. We're all going to have to wait and find out. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week for Around the Track at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
One race that can define a career. One race that can produce extreme emotions, either with a win.
I won the Daytona 500! Oh, I won the Daytona 500! I won the Daytona 500!
Or a heartbreaking loss.
There's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison.
Truex on the inside, Hamlin on the outside, and too close to call.
That race is the Daytona 500.